Hi everybody, are you ready for a drinking challenge? I hope you are, because that is what this video is all about. I'm Stephanie Colson, I'm a certified life coach, and I help women trust themselves around alcohol, drink less so they can live their best life. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what the challenge is all about, but before I do so, it's very important for me to explain something to you that I learned and that I call fog drinking. And for you to understand it, it's going to help you understand what I'm asking for you in this drinking challenge. Okay, you ready? So this is what fog drinking is all about. Fog drinking is when you're drinking without not paying any attention to the taste, the smell, or how the feeling of alcohol gives to your body. It's basically mindless drinking, to ignore any of that discomfort of a feeling that you are having that you'd rather not be experiencing. You're drinking to check out. You reach the bottom of that glass, the bottom of that bottle, the bottom of that can of whatever that you're drinking, and you don't know how to get there. And quite frankly, you are sick and tired of having that experience. Drinking is purely for pleasure. We are pleasure-seeking animals. There is no fuel for your body in alcohol. Alcohol depletes your nutrition, your vitamins, and your minerals. And I know that you know that, but it's important for you to really think about this while I'm talking about fog drinking and to prepare you for this drinking challenge. Alcohol is empty calories. It takes away, it depletes, and it doesn't return anything to you in value. Why do we drink when we know all of this to be true? It offers nothing but a buzz and an escape from reality. The question is, why do we want to be unconscious of our own lives? My guess is that you don't want to be in that fog anymore, right? You're tired of living a life in a fog. I always think of it as like a haze that's over my head, like a fog, a low fog. So where is your brain now? Your brain thinks booze is necessary for survival because you taught it that. And how did you learn that? You learned all of that from your primary programmers. Basically, that's your parents, your upbringing, movies, advertisement, memes, experiences, all of those sorts of things, everything that happened to you and observations and that you've had from your past. And from that, and from all of those observations, you then create an experience where you actually drink alcohol and your brain gets a reward. Your brain receives a reward of dopamine when you consume alcohol in the form of a chemical release that is dopamine. If and when you choose to have a drink with utilizing a drink plan, which some of you who are part of my program know all about the drink plan, or if you've been to my workshops, you know that a drink plan is where you use your prefrontal cortex and make a plan about what you're going to drink or not drink 24 hours in advance. And it's very important that you make a plan 24 hours in advance and adhere to it. That's how you start to begin to make the change in the neural pathways in your brain. But that's a whole nother lesson. But I wanted to just bring it up is that if and when you choose to have a drink, utilizing a drink plan 24 hours in advance, you need to be as mindful as you can each step of the way. So you make a plan and now you're going to decide what you're going to drink. And since you're watching this, I know that you're on a journey to be a mindful drinker. So on this journey of being that mindful drinker, you will learn a lot about yourself and the reason why you are drinking in the first place. You really, I can't emphasize this anymore, need to understand your why of your drinking before any change of the habit can happen. Is there a way to be more mindful when you drink? Well, yes, there is. That is exactly what I teach to all of my clients and what I taught myself too. There is a way for you to begin the process of trusting yourself around alcohol again and getting that off button back. How can you be more mindful when you're drinking? I mean, how do we even begin this? So this is the challenge that I'm offering for you in this video and how you're going to make a change in your habit of drinking. So the challenge is next time you have a drink, I want you to pause at every single step of the process before you let yourself have a drink. So mindfully choose the glass that you decide to have a drink with, all right? Ask yourself why you want that particular glass. Why are you making that decision? Every step of the way before you have a drink, you are making little decisions. And this is how you become more mindful. Stop and notice what thoughts are happening when you make that decision and you reach for that glass. Have you ever done that before? It's going to change your life when you do this. I promise you. What are you thinking just before that? Like just before you even grab that glass, what are you thinking? Like what happened to you during the day? Be very mindful. Just stop and ask yourself that question. You're reaching for the glass. You're like, okay, why am I choosing that glass? Why am I wanting to have a glass of wine or a drink? What happened to me during the day to make me want to reach for this glass to pour myself a drink? Be mindful of the sound of uncorking a bottle or the clink of an ice cube dropping into a glass. Along the way, when you're making decisions to have a drink, you are getting dopamine rewards during every single step. And that's why I want you to pay attention to it, because we're always thinking about going on to the next. We're not really living in the moment. But you'll start to notice that you are getting a reward because of the anticipation of having that drink, of the anticipation of knowing you're going to choose a glass. So stop in every step of the way in the process of pouring yourself a drink. The problem is, up until this point, up until this challenge, you are mindlessly just going through those motions. So if you slow down the process and are mindful of each step, you will start to recognize the true feelings that you're searching for, that you think you're going to get when you consume a drink. Ask yourself, what is the feeling I'm looking for? What is the feeling you're looking for? Will it be consciously fulfilled in an alcoholic drink? You got to stop and ask yourself that question. Okay, the next step. So you have your drink, you've enjoyed the uncorking, you thought about the process of uncorking or dropping the ice cube in the drink, and now I want you to smell the alcohol and ask yourself this question. Do you truly like the smell? Do you really enjoy the smell? Do you really enjoy the smell of the alcohol that you're about ready to pour? And think about the first time you smelled alcohol. Did you really like the smell? And maybe it was so long ago you can't remember, but do you enjoy the smell of alcohol on someone else's breath? Have you ever thought about that? I have, like when not drinking and somebody comes up to me with alcohol breath, I'm like, whoa, that doesn't smell good. And it makes me think, that's what I smelled like to other people when I don't drink. Especially, that's probably what I smell like with my kids. You know, if we're up close or if I'm kissing and hugging them goodnight. So think about that. Do you like the smell of alcohol on somebody else's breath? We have fooled ourselves into thinking it smells good because of that reward we have delivered to our brain through the dopamine reward that follows once the alcohol gets into your system. So you've taught yourself step by step, little process at a time, to think that the smell sounds good only because of the reward that it gives you after you've consumed the alcohol. And this is what I always talk about. Like, you've taught yourself that alcohol is important because of all these little steps that you do, because of all the things that happen throughout the day, and that at the end of the day you get a drink and then you get the reward. Now your brain is like, this stuff is important. Okay? So what comes next? Tasting the alcohol. Really explore the taste of the drink. Do you really like it? Is the taste that you're tasting, like, I don't know what you like to drink, but say you're having a drink where you've added a fruity mixture to it. Is the taste of alcohol alone what you like? Or is it mixed together with some sort of fruity mixture? Or is it a sweetened mixture? Or is it like artificially, is the alcohol covered up with some artificially flavored soda? So alcohol alone, do you really like the taste of alcohol by itself? So I can take a stab at guessing and be pretty confident that you did not like the taste of alcohol the first time you had it. I didn't, right? Am I correct? Did you like it the first time you tasted it? I remember the first time I tasted it, I had to pinch my nose, like, do it like I was taking medicine. I don't know if, like, when I was little, medicine was terrible, and they've made it taste so much better as by the time I had kids. But it was like taking medicine. I remember pinching my nose and just trying to like get it down at the first time that I swallowed a drink. It really tasted awful. I only had a drink because I wanted to not feel left out. I wanted to feel connected. I didn't want to be, I don't know, like a nerd or something like that, because I was being challenged to have a drink. And I was like, well, I'll do it. But I remember having to pinch my nose. And I was, curious about the feeling and what happens to when you have this adult drink. It was like a coming of age thing. So I was, after a buzz, after a connection, I was trying to not be rejected. But I didn't drink, it was certainly not because of the taste, I'm sorry. So that acquired taste that came later is when your brain starts to think more and more that, hey, doing this activity is adult-like, it's sophisticated, and you start hearing things about being a connoisseur of wine or connoisseur of whiskey or, brandy. I don't know what people become connoisseurs of. I know wine, but you start to have these thoughts that, oh, well, I want to be a connoisseur. I want to understand it more. And when you started to think about, wanting to be better at drinking, and then you have that drink, you get that dopamine reward, your brain is connecting the thoughts that come before the drink with the reward and making a concrete, cemented in memory to keep up that same habit of drinking. And it's just like Pavlov's dogs. I'm sure if you've been following me for a while, you know how much I love to bring up Pavlov's dogs, that, you hear the bell and you get the reward. And your brain is like paying attention to everything that happens before that bell, before those thoughts, reaching for the glass, all of those things. It knows that after you do those actions, a reward is about to come. So I found with myself when I used to overdrink, and I find with my clients, is when you mindlessly drink and consume alcohol quickly, you aren't really enjoying it. You're just drinking it unconsciously. Do you feel that? Do you feel like you're at the point where you're just drinking unconsciously? You might not even really enjoy alcohol at all, but right now you're just like, it's been a day, I go home, I get a drink, I pour myself a drink. You look forward to having that drink, but you're doing everything unconsciously. So this challenge is for you to be very conscious every single step of the way. So my hunch is that the reason you like to drink is because of all of the beliefs that you have around it. Have you ever thought about your beliefs pertaining to alcohol? Have you ever even thought about where they all come from? Those beliefs are like what I like to say, it's kind of like religion, where you're just taught it. It's just there. You're brought up with religion. You don't question it. It's just a faith that you have. And it's the same way when it comes to alcohol. It's just like, we don't know where the beliefs came from. They were unconscious, subconscious, through media, through our families, everything else. And we were just taught the belief unknowingly through all of those observations, through all of those experiences starting in childhood. And we didn't even ever question any of the things that we think about alcohol. We don't start questioning it until we start having negative things happen to us in our life with like negative consequences. When we start having too many hangovers, when we start feeling tired, when we start feeling not as sharp in our brain, not in our A game, when we start gaining weight, when we're losing sleep. So when it comes to beliefs around drinking and that it is necessary for social situations and it's just the way we become social and how we socialize when we're adults, that is truly just a thought that you have practiced over many, many years. It's a thought that comes from looking around in your environment and seeing your peers predominantly as drinkers. your peers, your family, your parents, your best friends, people on TV. What do we do about this fog drinking? Well, the first thing that you can do to start understanding your unconscious behavior and habit around drinking is to start asking yourself some quality questions. And when you ask yourself these questions that I'm going to give to you, I want you to write it down. I don't want you to just watch this video and think about it or just go on to the next thing. Like, push pause and answer these questions and write them down. It's really the beginning to unfolding and uncovering and getting rid of that fog and that fog drinking and really understanding the habit that you have around your drinking and the reasons why you think drinking is the answer to cope with life, is the answer at the end of the day. So why did you mindlessly drink? Why do you mindlessly drink? Ask yourself that question. And ask yourself, what is happening to you during the day? A lot of times we don't even think about that. We just think, oh, it's the end of the day. It's the way I punctuate the end of the day. And we don't really think about all the little things that add up during the day that create this thought that we need to have a drink to cope with whatever happened during the day. And when you're drinking, when you decide to have a drink, what feelings were you trying to attain? What feelings are you after when you think you want to have a drink? What do you think you're missing out on? What do you think you're missing? Let me say it like this. What do you think you were missing? Usually we're looking for a feeling and something must be missing, or it might be something you don't want to feel. Or maybe it's, what do you think you're missing out on? Are you, having FOMO? What is it that you're missing? Have you ever asked yourself that question? It's a very good question to ask yourself. So basically, drinking is just your emotional escape. And I ask my clients this question. Okay, now this is a tricky question. If I could take away your over desire and your over drinking from your life, would you let me? Would you let me? Would you let me? And many people say no because they are afraid of their feelings. They're afraid of feeling every single feeling. They're afraid of feeling the negative feelings. And deep down, they are afraid of what life would be like without alcohol. So let me say this to you. Stopping drinking is really easy. It's so easy just to say no to a drink. It's what happens after you say no is where the work happens, where the rubber hits the road. It's sitting with those negative emotions that is what is so hard, right? Maybe you've never thought about it like this. Maybe you always think it's just the alcohol. Well, alcohol has no human qualities. It doesn't say, pick me up, drink me. It doesn't do any of that. The only reason why you're drinking is because of a decision. There's the drink, there's your mouth, and then there's the decision in between. So you are basically using alcohol for an emotional escape. Instead of experiencing stress, frustration, failure, boredom, and so on, we are escaping these negative emotions with drinking. You are escaping these negative emotions with drinking. And it doesn't have to be anything like outrageous. It can just be little frustrations that happen throughout the day. It can be a little bit of boredom. It could be little bits of failure that happen throughout the day. It doesn't have to be anything huge. But basically, we are afraid of feeling the negative feelings. We feel entitled that we should be happy all the time, right? So you come home from work and you're stressed and you're frustrated and you don't know how to process that stress and manage it. So what do? You escape with drinking. So many people escape their lives through drinking, but it's not their fault and it's not your fault. You just haven't been taught how to feel your feelings and experience them without escaping. So this is what I like to kind of imagine, and people have probably heard me say this before, but imagine that one of your most famous crush walks into the restaurant that you're eating at and sits down next to you. And for me, this would probably be like Brene Brown or Oprah Winfrey. And imagine that this person starts a conversation with you and wants to talk more. Now, would you say, no, I'm sorry, I'm drinking right now, I can't talk right now, or no, I'm having this meal, my desire for another drink and is so strong right now that it's better than talking to you? No, of course not. You would stop eating and drinking and talk to your dream crush, because a conversation with your crush would be way better than whatever it is that you are drinking or eating. Your desire for that conversation with your crush, your life in that particular moment, that moment sitting like in awe of this person sitting with you, is way better than alcohol. So I work with clients on making their lives better than alcohol, like creating that experience with that crush. I want you to have a crush on your life. I want you to be so excited about what's going on in your life and accepting the good and the bad with it, and show you that that is better than any alcohol that you'll ever have. So if you're looking forward to alcohol the most at the end of the day, I'm sorry to say, but that you aren't working hard enough on making your life better, and that your life isn't good enough if you think that alcohol is going to make your life better. We need to work on making your life better. We don't make your life better by changing it. We make your life better by working on your mind.